Major assets, major players.
Still significant, I believe, that they continue their movement from their headquarters in Jacksonville to relocate their headquarters in Panama City. I still think that is significant, and I still think that when you look at what their plans are, you would have to that would have to suggest that part of their plans were being here. And
Oh, absolutely.
which is a good thing.
It's huge. I mean, I think St. Joe, I think with new leadership, these people are obviously serious. I think they're going to ramp it up. They still have 755,000 acres in the Florida Panhandle, a lot of it in Bay County, in contiguous counties to us, and that new airport sitting there is a gateway to a lot of folks. Lee, we can have these other events, we can have these other venues and revenue opportunities for all of us.
It is such a shame, though, that the airport, which I think is such a great thing, has just been overwhelmed by a multitude of issues, from parking to bathroom sizes to all kinds of stuff. And one of the reasons that I believe that some of those things happened is because they did not really expect it to have the success that it is obviously experiencing.
Yeah, unintended success. And with a major project like this, this is the first new airport, domestic airport in this country since Denver.
Right.
Since Denver.
Right.
I mean, this has a capacity to change our world.
Right.
In a very positive way. Although, somewhat plausible too, is to have no effect for some time. But I mean, I think it's a winner chicken dinner over time without question. And there's been a lot of difficulties, perpetual DEP fines, ongoing litigation, and of course the old airport site we just talked about.
And the litigation between Finch and the airport authority, and and how that works out. Who's right, who's wrong, how much money's involved in that.
Well, litigation.
And only lawyers win.
Now, there's no telling when that could end up, Lee. There's absolutely no telling when you would get a judicial answer to all of those questions.
Well, I mean, clearly they're going to have to solve the environmental issues before they can move ahead with anything that adds to that airport.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the most significant thing that they've got to look at out of all the problems they've got. They're going to have to get something fixed and wired together, or they're not going to be able to build to or add to or do anything else out
That's
there.
right. That's exactly right. And I think you might need to reach for some of our senior leadership in the state, the new governor, as we talked about the perpetual fines. I mean, we've got to make this work. This is important. This matters.
When we come back, I want to talk about the governor, J. Carey Scott. We'll be right back. Welcome back to News View. I'm visiting with J. Carey Scott, local businessman and sponsor of the question of the week winner, and we got it, and so we talked about a multitude of things, but the governor, I believe, to his credit, has stood to what he said he would stand to. And it looks as though the legislature, which I was very concerned about whether they would cut and run or not, are sort of standing there with him. I mean, it looks like we might get some stuff accomplished when it comes to cutting the budget and cutting the rules and the regulations and doing some things that are good for Floridians.
I think so. Governor Scott, as you mentioned, and Speaker Cannon, Senate President Herodopoulos, hopefully we'll stand together. We've actually got to do a remake. You know that. I mean,
Right.
we're broke. We're $3+ billion,
Right.
looking at
Almost
$3 billion deficit.
Yeah, almost $4 billion
And we're talking about real money. We're talking about
right.
the lives of our citizens and taxpayers.
Right.
And I understand their special interests, and I understand that how it used to be, and I understand all those things. But end of the day, we've got to make it work for everybody. And being broke don't really work so good, does it?
Well,
you and I know about that.
And Jay Carey, there's something about sharing the pain that is a little more literal. It's sharing the responsibility of cutting back. I mean, not just one group cuts back and another group doesn't. And I mean, what we have to do is we have to understand that to make this thing work, we all have to cut back.
Absolutely, and I think some of the interests of the public employee unions have been hysterically represented. We're not talking about yanking the complete floor mat under anybody.
Well, it is. I have a good feel that we're going to be able to accomplish something that makes some sense, that shares the responsibility, that makes everybody at the table be a participant. I mean, people out there, they already have been. I mean, they had what I call fun money. I mean, they're just down to the necessities, and the fun money it doesn't exist.
Gone. Well, we all have to. We live within budgets and live within means, and they're certainly true of government. And
Right.
We've had a meteoric rise in revenues in the last decade, but now is the day of reckoning. We've got to cut back, and everybody's not going to love it, but hey, we can all work together.
We can, and I think once we understand that, we might be a little more successful than we have been. J. Carey Scott, remember, those are my views. What are yours?